Test 1, 2, 3. Hi guys, welcome to another Blender tutorial. Today I'm gonna introduce you to sculpting. If you are new in Blender, it's gonna be helpful to you. I am in Blender, like you can see. If you are new, subscribe, of course, because we are creating here a Blender gang and I upload Blender tutorials. Like my channel, it's called. Now I'm in Blender. I'm gonna just select this by the left click, and if you wanna sculpt in Blender, not on the layout, just click right here to sculpting, right here, and we have this kind of window. Of course you can change the windows to the object mode right here, yes, on maybe to the edit mode, but we're gonna need the sculpt mode. Now I have this two circles, the blue one and the red one, or whatever it's color. Fuck this. Now you can sculpt by the left click, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna increase the strength. As you can see, our cube is changing because I'm clicking on the corner of our cube, but this is bad for sculpting because this cube don't have much geometry. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the layout. I'm gonna click X and delete, Shift A. On the mesh I'm gonna add once again cube, and I'm gonna go right here to the modifier, and I'm gonna add subdivision surface, and I'm gonna crop this by the 4 time, and I'm gonna click right here apply. I'm gonna select our cube because this is cube with the modifier, and right click and click shade smooth. Now I'm gonna add Shift A to show you the difference, and on the mesh I'm gonna add sphere. I'm gonna G, X, move the sphere by the mouse too. Now remember, if I'm gonna select the sphere and I'm gonna go to sculpting, I can't sculpt our cube. I can't, because I'm selecting the sphere. So if you're gonna select the object on the sculpting, you sculpting the object that you selecting, if that makes sense. Now this is the radius, so this is the area that we're gonna sculpt. As you can see, this circle gets bigger, and if I'm gonna decrease this, the circle gets smaller. The strength, if I'm gonna crop this down, and I'm gonna just hold the left click, like you see, we have this kind of stuff. If I'm gonna increase the strength and I'm gonna left click once again, we have much strength if our sculpting, if that makes sense. So this is the area of sculpting, like you see. Wow, this we sculpting the bigger stuff, and I'm gonna decrease. This is the strength. Now let me go to the right here object mode and select our cube that we created, and once again go to the sculpting mode. So if I'm gonna sculpt once again with this kind of stuff, maybe I'm gonna decrease this. As you can see, maybe I'm gonna add a little more strength. This is better for sculpting than the sphere, because this have more geometry, if that makes sense, okay, than this sphere, because we added the modifier. So I think it's better to sculpting. Yeah. Now let me talk a little bit about this kind of stuff. This button is for tablets. I don't have tablet, I have my bullshit PC. But if you have tablet, you just select in here, and you can you have sensitivity on your pen, okay, on your tablet. I don't have tablet, so I'm gonna deselect this. Now this is the plus, okay, and the minus. It's important. If I'm gonna sculpting, left click on our cube, I'm adding the mesh, yes. If I'm gonna click minus, I'm how to say, I'm decreasing the mesh. I'm not adding, but you get it. I'm making a hole in the mesh, if that makes sense. I'm gonna select the plus, and you have the shortcut to the minus. So if I'm gonna left click and hold the left click, and I'm gonna maybe leave the left click, and I'm gonna hold control and left click, I'm making a hole in our mesh, if that makes sense. So holding control and left click is the minus. Without control, just on the plus, if you have selected, you add the mesh. So control, holding control, you have the shortcut to the minus, yes, to decrease the mesh, as you can see. Now the brush, this is the view and the scene. The scene is, this is about measurement, okay. You can play with those stuff. On the stroke, you have different kind of strokes. Maybe I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go to the layout. I'm gonna select this by the left click X and delete. I'm gonna add Shift A, and on the mesh I'm gonna add plane, scale by the S and move the mouse. I'm gonna click tab. I'm gonna right click and subdivide this plane right here about 40 times maybe, because we need more geometry. I'm gonna once again click tab, select an arrow plane and go to the sculpting. Wait guys, I'm gonna move this, that you're gonna see something like that. Okay, now on the stroke we have the kind of different stroke in our not pen, if our sculpting stuff. So I'm gonna show you. This is this space, yes. If I'm gonna maybe decrease this, if I'm gonna create it, we have this kind of stroke, yeah. If I'm gonna change to dota or whatever, we have this kind of stroke. It's little different, as you can see. If I'm gonna change to the other one, you have the other one, okay. This is the space, so we have the space, yes, we have this kind of stroke. And on the line, if I'm gonna select the line, we have this kind of line, like you see. I'm holding left click. If I'm gonna leave the left click, it's gonna create a line. So you have different kind of stroke on our sculpting tool. I'm gonna leave to space. Of course you can play with those values, you know, adjust whatever you want. Now right here on this button we have smooth. What this mean? This is not the button, but this is the how to say, I'm gonna sculpt. This is this area, maybe I'm gonna show you. This is this area, how it's fuck my English, not the button, the different one of our stroke. If I'm gonna change right here, because we have smooth, if I'm gonna change to sphere, we have spherical kind of, like you see, stuff. This is different than this kind of stuff. So if I'm gonna change to the other one, we have different kind of shit, like you see. So I can't find the word because my English fucking suck. The word, but fuck, whatever. You can of course costume, so you can, you know, create your own shit. I'm gonna maybe show you. Yes, this is different than this first one. This is different than the second one, and so it's how to say, it's that kind of stuff. Like this is circular, this is another one, this is another one. How your sculpting is seen from this kind of view. This not bottom, but the ground view, if that makes sense. Fuck my English, okay? I hope you get it. This one, fuck. Now I'm gonna change right here to the smooth, and right here you have the color. So if I'm gonna change the color maybe to this one, I have different color on our sphere, yes. The second color is to minus, so I have blue one, but if I'm gonna change to this one, wait guys, maybe I'm gonna change to this one, I have yellow kind of stuff, yes, on the minus. So this is the colors right here. Now let's talk about asymmetry. So this button, if I'm gonna click, we're gonna have this circle and this kind of point, yes, beside this circle. Fuck. So this is the symmetry. If I'm gonna sculpt, it's sculpting with symmetry, like you see, yes. If I'm gonna select this kind of stuff, it's gonna sculpt in to to this direction, up and down, yes, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is the symmetry sculpting. You can create some cool shit with this. Now let me talk. Maybe I'm gonna create some bigger stuff that you're gonna see. I'm sculpting right here this kind of shit, okay? If I'm gonna copy, I wanna copy this, just go here, select your direction that it's gonna copy this kind of stuff. I think this is this direction, and just click here, and it's, you know, copy this kind of stuff. I'm gonna deselect, but if I'm gonna, you know, select right here this kind of big shit, create, and I'm gonna choose the different direction, and I'm gonna click right here, it's copy this kind of stuff. This looks like us. But you get it. This is the first tutorial of sculpting. I hope you get it, the idea. On the layout, just change to the sculpting. You need some object that have some more geometry. So add subdivision surface modifier to the cube or whatever, to the plane, subdivide the plane if you want to sculpt. And this is the size of the pen, this is the strength of the pen, of our sculpting tool, if that makes sense. This is nothing, plus minus, so I'm decreasing the mesh, yes, I'm gonna maybe yes, I'm making a fucking hole. The brush, you can play with those stuff. Right here, the stroke, you have different kind of strokes that it's gonna be different, yes. On the file out, you have different kind of how to say, the button one stuff, okay. And this is the color, this is the symmetry. This is first video, okay, on sculpting. So yeah, I hope you get it. Okay, thank you for watching. Maybe I'm gonna explain you on another tutorial much more. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.